For 22 years, Mason kept the same notebook. It was small, black, and worn around the edges. The first page had a date, written in his mother's handwriting. Mason's first birthday, don't forget. His father had forgotten. Mason was too young to understand it then. His mother told him his father had been working and would make it up to him. He never did. At 5, Mason waited by the window with a birthday cake while his mother kept checking the clock. Daddy said he was coming, Mason whispered. His mother forced a smile. I know, sweetheart. But the door never opened. At 7, his father promised to take him to the amusement park. Mason spent the entire morning wearing his favorite blue jacket, waiting for the sound of a car outside. His father never came. At 10, Mason stopped asking. At 12, he stopped expecting. By 16, birthdays had become ordinary days, but Mason still wrote everything in the notebook. Birthday, Dushka 7, Dad promised to come, didn't. Birthday number 10 said he was sick. Birthday number 14 said work kept him away. Birthday number 18 didn't call. There were 22 entries, 22 birthdays, 22 disappointments. But the strange part wasn't that his father had missed them. It was what Mason discovered years later. At 22, Mason was scrolling through social media when he saw a photograph posted by his father. It was a picture of him smiling beside a birthday cake. The caption said, "Another beautiful birthday with my son watching. Him grow has been the greatest blessing of my life." Mason stared at the screen. He knew the date. It was his 22nd birthday, the same day Mason had eaten dinner alone, the same day his father hadn't called. Mason slowly opened the comments. Friends, co-workers, and relatives were writing things like, "You are such a wonderful father. Mason is lucky to have you. 22 years of beautiful memories." Mason's hands began to shake. He looked through his father's older posts. There were dozens of them. Pictures from birthday parties Mason had never attended with him, stories about phone calls that never happened, posts about vacations they had never taken. His father had created an entire relationship online, a relationship that existed only for an audience. Mason opened his notebook and placed it beside his phone. On one page, birthday the Finibus 19, Dad said he was too busy. On his father's page, celebrating my son's 19th birthday, so proud of the man he's becoming. Mason felt something inside him break. It wasn't anger anymore. It was something colder. He realized his father had simply abandoned him. He had rewritten the story, and everyone believed him. A week later, Mason got engaged to his longtime girlfriend Clara. They began planning a small wedding. When Mason's mother asked whether his father would be invited, he didn't answer immediately. "I don't know," he finally said. "You're still hoping he'll come?" Mason looked down. "No, I'm afraid he'll pretend he came." His mother went silent. A few days later, Mason received a message from his father. "Son, congratulations, I can't wait to stand beside you on your wedding day. I'll even give a toast." Mason stared at the message for a long time. His father had never met Clara. He hadn't even known Mason was engaged until he saw the announcement online. Yet he was already telling people that he would be standing beside his son. Mason opened the notebook. He turned to the final blank page. Then he wrote, "Wedding day. Let's see what story he tells this time." He didn't argue. He didn't confront his father. Instead, Mason made one decision. He would let the truth speak for itself. 3 weeks before the wedding, Mason received another message from his father. "I've already told everyone. I'm giving the toast. It's going to be an unforgettable day." Mason smiled sadly. His father wasn't even invited. Mason had decided to have a small wedding with only people who had genuinely been part of his life. His mother, his fiancée Clara, a few close friends. No cameras for social media. No staged photographs. No fake memories. But Mason knew his father would eventually post something, so he prepared one final package. Inside it was the old black notebook, and he photocopied every page. Beside each entry he wrote the date. Then he printed screenshots of his father's social media posts. One said, "Spent the day with my son." Mason wrote underneath, "I was at work that day." Another said, "Proud of my boy after our long father-son conversation." Mason wrote, "We did not speak." Then came the birthday posts. 22 of them, 22 public celebrations, 22 lies. At the end of the package, Mason included one final letter. He wrote, "You missed 22 birthdays. I spent years believing that meant you didn't have time for me. Then I discovered you had plenty of time to tell everyone you were there. I don't hate you. I don't want revenge. I simply don't want to be part of a story that isn't true. My wedding is about the people who actually stood beside me, so please don't come. Not because I want to punish you, because I don't want another memory that never happened." Mason mailed the package. Then he changed his phone number. On his wedding day, Mason woke before sunrise. For the first time in his life, he wasn't waiting for his father. He wasn't checking the driveway. He wasn't wondering whether someone would disappoint him. He simply felt peaceful. During the ceremony, Mason looked at Clara and smiled. His mother sat in the front row crying quietly. When the ceremony ended, Mason noticed his best friend holding a phone. "Something happened," he said. Mason looked at him. "What, Your father posted something." Mason took the phone. His father had uploaded an old photograph of Mason as a child. The caption read, "Today I watched my son get married. I couldn't be prouder. Being his father has been the greatest journey of my life." Mason stared at it. For a moment the old pain returned. Then Clara gently took his hand. "You don't have to read it." Mason handed the phone back. "No," he said, "I don't." That evening Mason received an email from his mother. It contained a photograph. His father was sitting alone at his kitchen table. Beside him was the black notebook. And on top of it was Mason's letter. His mother wrote, "He finally read every page." Then another message arrived. He said he didn't realize how much he had missed. Mason didn't respond. The next morning, however, he received a letter. Not a text, not a social media post. A real handwritten letter. His father admitted everything. He admitted that he had been ashamed of the distance between them. Instead of fixing it, he had created a version of their relationship. That made him look like a good father. He apologized. He didn't ask Mason to forgive him. He didn't ask for another chance. He simply wrote, "I know I don't deserve a place in the memories I missed. But if you ever decide to create a new memory with me, I'll be there, and this time I won't tell anyone about it. I'll just be there." Mason read the letter twice. Then he put it inside the black notebook. He didn't erase the 22 birthdays. He didn't pretend the past hadn't happened. But on the final page beneath the wedding date, Mason wrote, "For the first time, my father didn't tell a story about being there. He asked for the chance to actually be there." And for Mason that was enough. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe someday a beginning.